Club every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, Spurs family. Welcome to another episode of Daily Tottenham, your one-stop daily podcast for all things Tottenham Hotspur on the Global Sports Podcast Network. Good morning, good evening. I'm Chris Mervyn, and I'm joined once again by the magician who is Ollie Kasabi. Ollie, how are you, mate? How's it going? How are you feeling now after our second half revival? Was it rescuing a point against Bournemouth, or was it just really... we didn't really deserve anything from it? What do you think?
We didn't deserve anything at all. It was really bad, really bad. We didn't create anything. We dominated the ball, and I just didn't see any intensity in our passes, in our pressing. Nothing. We could have been one down inside the first minute. Romero giving the ball away to Evan Nilsson. Vicario saved us, and that's what he did all game. He was good.
So I'm just double checking that this isn't a recording of every match we've had in recent memory, because it sounds exactly like every match.
Yeah,
how the hell can we go into a match and start off by looking like we're going to concede 10 goals in the first 10 minutes? And it's only, in this case, Vicario, again, who has kept us in the game. And without him, wow.
Yeah, he's virtually the only positive other than the returning players, because he against AZ in the first leg, he kept us in it. That was probably the only positive, and without him, we could have been about 6 down.
Yep. For all his faults previously to getting injured, he's looking, obviously Kulusevski's not there, but he's looking like our best player.
Yeah, he's been
the most reliable best player, really our match winner in that sense, or match stay-inner, if that's even a phrase.
Yeah.
Crikey. So we for those, everybody's watched it, so I don't know why I always say for those who didn't see it. We ended up drawing the match 2-2. So Bournemouth just started with a real intensity. What a surprise! They're the best pressing team in the league this season. And what a surprise, they pressed us and put us under pressure. And yes, of course we put ourselves under pressure and played out the back. Some monumental mistakes which you're not going to see.
We gave the ball away so much.
Under fives team or under nines team or something, at a very young age, when you're saying, yeah, pass it out, and they're just passing it to anybody.
Just boot it.
The other team, that's basically what they're doing. It was like headless football, it really was. And you could see it happen as well. You could see it. It was like running out of time. They had to get rid of the ball before a certain time, almost like a practice match where you've got to get the ball out of a certain area within 5 seconds. Well, you know what? Matches aren't like that. And you shouldn't be playing like that against the best pressing team.
We gave the ball away way too often, especially in that first half. Every time we tried to play it out of the back, we were trying to play it centrally, and there just wasn't any option there. They weren't even. I don't even think they were looking up. I don't think Porro looked up once when trying to play out from the back, and we were just inviting pressure all game. It was just painful.
Yeah, it really was. So Tavernier, who had a good game, to be fair. In fact, most of the Bournemouth team had an okay game. Scored the first goal in 42. Evan Nilsson scored in 65. Again, a reasonable goal. We managed to pull back a goal in the second half, obviously with Pepe Sarr's deliberate shot from cross. It 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the man who can only score when he doesn't mean to score, I think. Anytime anybody says shoot, like Basuma as well, the crowd was saying shoot every time he was sort of outside the box. Have you seen these players actually score and shoot that much?
I remember Basuma scored a great goal against Everton earlier on in the season, but that's the only time.
But with Sarr, you almost better off saying cross, because then they just take a shot. It's confusing. And then obviously we had, thankfully, their keeper to thank for deciding to come out and take out Sonny. And obviously Sonny knew exactly what was going to happen. Professional years, took the contact. The ball was practically off the pitch before he got to the ground anyway, but that doesn't matter because it was a reckless challenge. And he waited for the keeper to dive before he put the ball slightly to the left of the centre.
Yeah.
And not a bad finish, really. Felt happy for him because he's had a lot of stick, and I think him and the other substitutes, which we'll talk about in a minute, made a lot of difference when they did come on, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I think both the goals we scored kind of really summed up the lack of creativity we had, because we score a fluky goal through Sarr, meant to be a cross, and then we get a penalty through Son. And when you're scoring 2 goals and that's the only way you're scoring, it's not a great look. And before that, we hadn't scored against City, we hadn't scored against AZ, so that's 3 games where you haven't really felt we looked like scoring at all. Yeah,
and obviously Bournemouth were coming off the back of 2 losses themselves as well, so they had a point to prove. And yeah, well, I don't think we had, before these 2 goals scored, I don't think we had scored a goal for quite a considerable amount of time at home.
Yeah, and Ange's whole thing is scoring goals, so it's worrying.
Yeah, we'll talk about Ange later, because I know you're more pro Ange than I am. I've been sort of, okay, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but you've been, actually, what's the point? We might as well stick with him, etc. But we'll talk about it later on. Looking at this, the lineup, we had quite a surprising lineup, really, because I was only saying in the Bournemouth crossover the other day, literally a couple of days before the match, was that we're going to be without Solanke, etc. But he made an appearance straight away from the start, and they did what I wanted them to do. And you did as well. Rest Son and give Odegaard a decent amount of game time on the left hand going forward, which is good. The team itself, Vicario in goal. There's no doubt now, as we said, he's becoming one of the first name, if not the first name on the team sheet now. Yeah. Ironically, because it is literally the first name you put on the team sheet as a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Who else is going to be there? How ironic! What a stupid phrase that is. Then we had Porro, Romero making his return, Danzo and Spence. Then we had Basuma, Bentancur. We had Sarr and Johnson, Solanke and Odegaard. So, yeah, it was an okay lineup. It's not. I think looking at the lineup itself, especially when you've got a team presses you, and there will be space behind and just in front of their back 4 in particular. I think looking at the team sheet there, I was surprised Maddison wasn't playing straight away because he didn't have a good match midweek, and I thought he was one of those players who could find those key passes, and that's what we were missing, creativity, wasn't it? You mentioned about possession already, that we had it again. But we had 60.9% of possession, and we did nothing with it. I wanted to swear then, but nothing with it.
It's really, really worrying how we can have so much of the ball and just I feel like when I'm watching, we're not just passing around the back, but we must be. We can't be doing anything else other than these sideways passes between defenders, and that's where the bulk of the possession comes from, probably.
I think you're right. It's aimless passing sideways, and from the very off, as I said, the return in Romero, good to see him come back. And I know he's not match fit, but there was a lack of intensity, as you said before, straight from the outset. I'm not sure what the heck is going on with regards to when they get on the pitch. It's almost like, that's Bournemouth, innit? We're at home. Oh, we'll just see. They're scared. That's all I can put it down to. They're scared to make mistakes. But that's only one thing that's going to happen there. You're going to make mistakes, and that's what happened. And Romero, the amount of times he put the keeper under pressure, and there were a few passes back to Vicario as well, not necessarily just from Romero as well, where you thought, just turn it, just do something else with it, and don't put them under pressure, because they were pushing so hard up. The line, the defensive line was almost in our sort of penalty area, really.
Yeah,
so
it was
difficult. That means you're playing balls right across the back four. And Vicario did have one moment there, which he took a really rubbish first touch when someone passed back to him, right across his goal. And I don't know if was it.
Evan Nielsen, I think.
Yeah, Mervyn, I think one of the players there to try and get, almost got it. So he managed to pass it to the side.
Close.
But Romero made a lot of mistakes, and too many mistakes, from my mind, to say it's because he hasn't played. He's been training for 59 weeks now and not been available. But he's been training a long time, hasn't he? Now to get his position. Now, I just don't know why. I think match fitness. Yes, it's match fitness. I think you should have intensity and be able to pass a ball and work hard as you do in training. If anything, training is more intense.
Going forward, though, I felt like he played a good few balls. Like in between the left back and the left centre back, I felt like he was finding Johnson and Solanke with one ball, and they were very nice balls. But defensively, he looked a bit off, and it's strange from him because he is so elite.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you hang around with people who are a little bit confused and not playing as well as they should do, that general mood gets into yourself, even if you haven't been doing it yourself, and you get the chance to come on the pitch again, and suddenly you're, okay, it's a match. I hope the fans are okay. I hope they don't get on our back straight away. Hope they make a noise. It's silent. In fact, it's not silent when they're actually, we've got the ball at the back. That's when we hear that, and a bit of unrest. But it's no wonder. Knock it long, knock it to the channels. You got wingers, that's what they're for. You got Johnson, who is a speedy player and had the beating speed wise, but he never took it around the. No, I'm not going to go into Johnson.
Yeah. If we start talking about Johnson, we could have a whole podcast.
Let's go for the team first, mate. Let's go for the team. So Romero didn't have a good game. Danso next to him, I thought he was assured. I think he got caught a little bit coming towards the ball, and Spence lost his man totally for one of the goals. But I thought, again, Danso is looking like, I think he's a decent player. I really do.
Very, very solid.
And if you said to me after that match, who would you play? Would you play Van de Ven? Just on the performances, Van de Ven, Danso, or Romero, which one do you play together? I'll go for Van de Ven and Danso, to be fair, rather than Romero at the moment. I know that Danso is not as good a player as Romero, and you have to give Romero chances. But I guess that the problem is everything is such under a microscope. He has to play and give him game time, and that's why he did it for Romero, because he can't just throw him in next week. On Thursday. So that's difficult, isn't it? Spence did okay again. Wasn't his best game. He wasn't amazing, but he was still one of the driving forces, and he was doing well, just linking up and with Odobert as well. And Porro,
I thought he was really bad. I thought the first goal Bournemouth scored, he's just gone past the halfway line into the attacking phase, and he's just given a chance for Kirkes to intercept the pass, and he shouldn't have been given a chance. It's pretty easy pass to Johnson, and then Kirkes has bombed it down the pitch in all this open space because Porro's now miles out of position, and he's put in a ridiculous cross, to be fair. And
it was crazy. It was one hell of a cross. But,
it was.
Properly, he was going at full speed, just steadied himself a little bit, and the curl on it was like, fair enough. You just got to get on the end of that, and it's on target, and the cross made the goal look really good. But they do break really well, even when they had an offside goal against us as well.
Yeah, the offside goal as well. I blame Porro because
same reason.
He stepped up to try and win a ball that wasn't there to be won, and he's left Semenyo unmarked in space, which I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. It's just basic football knowledge that you don't do that, and we got lucky because it was offside, got disallowed, but we shouldn't have got away with that. Semenyo was really silly. He shouldn't have been offside.
Yeah, he just a mistake you see on Sunday League teams is just laziness, isn't it, really, I think. In fact, it reminds me of Johnson a few times when he has been caught offside and you're like, mate, what are you doing? and then he goes and scores a tap in, and people remember that he scored. But then, Spurs fans grew wise to it pretty quickly. That's all he does.
Yeah.
Again, I've quickly jumped from defence to Johnson. It's not an anti-Johnson post this, although it might turn into it. But anyway, let's have a bit of a break, and we'll go on to the midfield and see how they did.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements, designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Awesome. Right, so welcome back. Midfield. Spence, Basuma and Sarr.
Spence, Basuma and Sarr.
Oh, no, sorry. Basuma, Sarr and Bentancur. Mate, can't even read my writing. Jesus. It looked really defensive to start off with, didn't it? And I was worried just at how we're going to break down, and the quick passing. I couldn't see any players on there apart from Spence and Odobert who would possibly do something, but that's all wing play. Central coming through, you had Solanke back, and he's a good hold-up player. He's strong. He draws fouls, but he does get the ball into people's feet off long balls in particular. But there was no players running on. No. I don't know who was supposed to do that out of those three. I know Sarr actually had a good game, to be honest, one of those better games that he's played recently. But for me, he's not that player.
No, he is an 8. He's not a 10. He's not a 6. I don't like the fact that you had to play that role. Obviously, Maddison and Bergvall both on the bench, probably going to start midweek, and that's why they were on the bench. But I felt maybe you could chuck one of them in, so we didn't have to play Sarr as the creative player coming to support Solanke and the wingers.
Yeah, it lacked loads of movement there, and again, it happened in the second half as well, but mainly in the first half, where we found ourselves in advanced positions. And yes, we might have been a little bit isolated, but he ended up passing it back, and it went right back to the defenders again. And yes, they had pushed up towards the halfway line by then, but it was like you're playing against 11 men again. You had an advantage there of playing against 4. And yes, you might have been able to take him on and take him down the wing, get a corner out of it. I just don't understand that. Yeah, it just doesn't work. So for me, again, it's always easy to be critical about Ange and any manager really when they don't win. But I just lacked a bit of, okay, I get being defensively strong and rigid, but the pressure you're under, the way we play, you were always going to have mistakes, and there wasn't that player to be able to turn quickly like a Maddison and put those through balls through, as we did see in the second half when he came on. Up front, we had Johnson. Deep breaths. Solanke and Odobert. So Sonny was rested. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. All those words. It was great to see. And Odobert, for me, he looked exciting every time. He was trying to do something. He was taking a man on. He was step overs. With respect to the player against him, he wasn't a proper, right back. He's been filling in for the season for their own injuries for Bournemouth. But I thought he did pretty well, and he always looked like he was going to create something every time he got the ball.
Yeah, and I mean, if he's not going to pull it off every time, he's not going to beat the man every time, but at least he's giving it a go, and that's what Johnson doesn't do, and he's not capable of doing. So credit to Odobert. He got me excited to see the team go forward.
Yeah, and him and Spence worked really well, I thought.
Yeah.
They were swapping places, and that must be a nightmare, to be honest, for a right back, those two, because they're both tricky, they're both speedy, and if you get it wrong, you're caught out, aren't you?
Yeah, you're back in trouble.
all it lacked was just having someone coming in deep from midfield, as we've suggested.
Yeah.
They just didn't have that, and the players we got there, as we said, they didn't. Great. Solanke did well, I thought. Hard for a striker to come in after having quite a few games off, and he did. His work rate is really high again, wasn't it?
Yeah, off the ball, he didn't stop running, and he played 96 minutes, which is great because he's been out for so long. So 96 minutes in the tank before a big game is what you like to see.
Yeah, and he did what you want him to do. He was fighting for every ball. If there was a long ball, which is unusual, but if there was, he was heading it back towards the midfield again. Sometimes not to a player because there wasn't a player in that space. He was held at play was good. He drew quite a few fouls as well. He just didn't have the players' movement around him really, and Johnson on the right. He is. That position is definitely the position we need to, going forward,
Really,
we need to strengthen, and we need to get a worldie in.
I don't get why we didn't chuck Tell there, because
I would have, even though he's a left and he doesn't necessarily like playing right, he would do something and it'll cut in. He'd try something. He's better player.
I think if you have, Tell would be able to do everything Johnson does, arrive at their back post, but Tell could offer so much more. He could beat his man. He could cut in. He could shoot. He could do so much more than Johnson, and it's just really strange. I don't see what Ange sees in Johnson.
No, I don't. And if he was cutting back and helping out Porro, who was always going to get caught out defensively, then I get it. But that's not him. He doesn't do that. He's lazy. He gets caught out of position still.
Yeah.
He doesn't bother chasing back. There's no movement from him at all. He'd get the ball to his feet. Quite a few times he tried to take it to go through the defender. And the defender just did a normal tackle. I was like, yeah, what are you doing,
nice
mate?
one,
I'm just going to tackle you. Great, thanks.
Yeah.
He's got the speed to beat players as well, knock it around. It just didn't.
I don't get it. It really aggravates me as well when, like you said, he doesn't get back and help out, because Porro's not great defensively as it is, and when it's Kirkes and Semenyo 2-on-1 against Porro, he doesn't really stand much of a chance. And then you got Johnson stood on the halfway line walking about. It's just really frustrating to see. He doesn't have a good footballing brain, I don't think. I don't think he has much awareness of what's going on around him. So players find it easy to get into good positions without Johnson tracking him.
I think if Kulusevski's playing on the right there, Porro doesn't go as far up for the Kakas cross goal. I think they didn't go as far up. It doesn't get caught out because he'll pass it to Kulusevski, and Kulusevski likes to take on this man.
Yeah.
And Kulusevski doesn't take any prisoners. He will put a foot in as well and stop it at source. You just don't see that with Johnson at all. And I think that, yes, I know we're just above the relegation zone, we're mid-table, etc. And arguably, that's where we deserve to be for what we're playing at. But that's the kind of player Johnson is. I think he's mid-table at best.
We got absolutely robbed blind for paying. We paid like 55 mil for him. And
yeah,
he only had one season in the Premier League with Forest, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, we got robbed.
Yeah, I think we got the wrong players. Should have got Hudson-Odoi, I think.
They spent about 10 million on Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, and we spent 50 odd million on Johnson. I just don't understand.
So I think we've got major problems on the right hand side. I know that Kulusevski can play the right, and he will do. And sometimes him and Maddison can play together. Sometimes they can't, and he'll play central. But I think right winger and right back, a proper right back as well. I know Spence can play it as well, but I kind of like him on the left. He seems to be able to.
I just think. I think Udogie will. His performances will improve, so I wouldn't want to.
They've got to. He came on and he was. Well, I messaged you, didn't I, about Johnson saying he's invisible, and I felt that about Udogie as well. I don't see the point of him currently. He just runs around. If you've got a young puppy and you just You're like, oh, they're going to have a run, and you think they're going to run. They run everywhere, and they're like manic, but they don't actually ever get the ball. And that's
Yeah,
like
I
him,
mean,
I think.
I don't want to say anything negative on him because we've said in previous podcasts he didn't have a preseason. He had
Yeah.
surgery.
Mate,
He
very
had
balanced view. Very good. None of this emotion rubbish. Nearly swore then.
he had another long term injury this season. He's barely played football. If he gets maybe like 10 games in a row of football and he's still performing at the level he is, then people can have different opinions. But for now, I'm not going to say anything.
But I personally had question marks over him when he was playing well, and he was on the fringes of the Italy squad, etc. as well. I just thought that too many times he'd, a bit like Basuma, just switched off on passes, and he just gave it away. Yeah. Anyway, you're right, but how many times do we give people benefits of the doubt? How many times do we give players? Do we give Ange? It's the injuries. It's what is it? At some point, somebody's going to have to sort of bite the bullet. After the break, we're going to talk about Ange because, we need to.
Here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. Here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery.
Don't know why that went on twice. It made it so good. Crikey. Right. Okay. So, Ange. Mate, you're a staunch defender, and we've given the benefit of the doubt. You can't tell me, honestly, you can't tell me that if there wasn't a better manager out there now, he wouldn't have gone. He can't tell me that he is, to the outsider, looks devoid of ideas when the team's playing. He doesn't engage. He doesn't give out the right message to fans looking at them who are frustrated, wanting somebody to actually take control of the situation. On the pitch, we were devoid of captains for a while. Vicario's back there now, and he's shouting at players and getting them up, etc. But you kind of want that from your manager as well, don't you? Even Areola at the weekend, you saw that from him, speaking to players, giving them coaching advice there. I mean, is it Mason and the rest of the team who do the coaching, and he just comes in and says, "What do you want in the Barbie, mate?" I don't know what's going on. I get the quiet man situation. I'm not an outspoken person. When I was coaching both football and rugby, I used to say, okay, we won't, we'll have a chat. We'll be nice, calm, and controlled, and we'll train it. We'll do it in practice, and we'll talk about it in the changing rooms, half time or before the match, etc., and even afterwards. And I get that, but obviously that message isn't coming across. The players aren't doing or maybe they are doing whatever he wants them to do. They look confused. They look devoid of what actually they should be doing on the pitch. They look scared to play out from the back because of the issues they've had anyway. And there's no plan B. Some of the tactics, I don't know if they are tactics or it can't always be the player's fault, surely. I know it can't be Ange's fault as well, but all the time. But somebody's got to take the buck up, haven't they? Post-match, Ange said most of it, the issues there were self-inflicted chaos. But who gives the instruction to play from the back? That's the way we do things. Oh, well, mate, that's what I do. So it comes from him, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it does come from him. I'm not gonna act like.
Don't get me wrong, mate. There's no one else out there, and he's going to be there to the end of the season. And great if he wins the Europa. I think we still get rid of him anyway. But carry on.
I don't think even if we go out the Europa League even if we don't go out on Thursday, if we go out the Europa League at a different stage, if we go out the quarters, semi-final, wherever it is, give him to the end of the season. See, there's 10 games left. Say we win 6 of them, draw 2, lose 2. I think that's more than enough to give him at least another season and see what he can do with this team. You're shaking your head, but I really do believe in him, and I just don't see what benefit we get from sacking a rebuild manager 2 years into the rebuild.
That's a different thing, though, isn't it? You can believe in him, or you don't see the point in it. There's two different things. So, what for the person like me who is probably a little bit impatient and actually wants to see some fire and come out and I like him having a bite back at the press, but at the same time, when he does it all the time, it's a bit arrogant. And can you not see it? That's why they're asking you about playing from the back. He doesn't really have a plan B from it, and you might leave the players to make their own decisions on in mid game. But I mean, if you constantly told this is the way, and there are managers out there who even say, if you don't play this way, that's my way, you'll get dropped. I don't know if he's one of those managers, but something's not right, is it? I mean, what is there to believe in really, apart from what have you seen where the green shoots of grass are coming through? What can we build on? I can't see anything to build on.
I think we've got a very, very exciting team full of young talent, and this is a rebuild manager. Let's not act like he's a Mourinho or a Conte, where he's been brought in to win trophies straight away. I mean, we've gone how many?
Or even just win.
We've gone like 17 years or something without a trophy. Why can't we just wait a couple more and see where we're at with Ange? It might not get there, but I just don't see the point in sacking him. I don't think any manager in the world could have done a better job with the injuries we had. So I think you let him off there. We've got absolutely stiffed with our injuries. I just see Bergvall, Gray, Sarr, Kulusevski, Solanke, Odobert, Spence, Romero, Mickey van der Ven. I just see quality players in that team, and I think we are a brilliant right winger, a brilliant midfielder, and
right back,
and a brilliant right back or left back away from having a very, very, very good team.
I get that, but I mean, hindsight's a fantastic thing, and we've both agreed on the fact that there was no point in changing Ange because no one was around. I get that, and I am airing my own frustrations, of course, about him, and I think it's just down to the lack of want of getting involved on the edge of the pitch, and maybe it's fine when he's winning, but that's it. He's studied as a man of his principle. When he's not, I just don't see that kind of passion which every any football fan has about their club. I don't see that. And I know he's been asked about that before, and he got a little bit prickly, saying, "Well, yeah, I believe in what we're doing and stuff like that." But there's a thing about saying it. There's another thing about showing it. I just don't believe he shows it enough.
You just want to see he cares as much as every Spurs fan cares. Is that what you feel?
I want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I want to see that he cares and shows the passion and gets the frustration which we all go through as Spurs fans. Although I'd always think about, I'd rather be the person going to every match as a season ticket holder. I'm not a season ticket holder, and I'm kind of lucky one. At least I'm not going to every match and seeing that same thing, because it would really frustrate me, especially living so far away from London as well. So it is frustrating. I mean, it is a topic of the news, of course, as well. Yes, there's no one out there to replace him, but I don't know. It's a really difficult situation, isn't it, regards to what you do with an Ange currently. He's not producing. Put it in any other workplace, then you probably say, "Look, mate, you haven't got anybody to come into the same role as he has, but it's not working, and you just need to go because it's damaging the club." I get all the Bergvall and stuff, but how much of that was actually planned before he came on board? Are they Ange signings? I know he might have had a influence on speaking to the player, but that's what most managers will do anyway, as long as you're a decent manager, speak to them as well. And they are signings for the future, and they've been thrown into it and done really well. Well, good on them. Lots of them wouldn't work. You know, some of our homegrown players haven't risen to those occasions, but they're quality players. And I do believe you're right. We've got the makings of a really good team. Romero, for me, I'm not even sure he's going to be there at the end. You know, at the end of the season, if an offer comes in, because I think Levy will look at it and think, well, if the money's right, I may as well, let him go. I do need to bring in someone else, of course, as well. But he'll also look at it and think, well, I've got Danzo, he's doing pretty good. I've got Gray, he can go back there, blah, blah, blah. So he's got positions there, I guess. But that's not the way you run a good team and make a team better, of course. So.
No. I think people are very quick to forget how great Romero is. And
yeah,
there's a lot of frustration around him because he's back in time just before the international break after being out for nearly 4 months. But I don't really have a problem with him going off to Argentina if he, like I think I said in the last podcast, if he plays three of the 4 games, I don't have a problem with him going. And he's already played 1, and there's 2 more. He's probably going to play them both, providing he doesn't get another injury. So I don't have a problem with it. And something crazy, he said on his post on Instagram, he thanks the Argentinian physios for his treatment and his recovery from his injury. And apparently Richarlison is getting help from Brazil with his injury as well. So I just think that shows the absolute state of our medical team. What are they actually doing? And I think a lot of the injuries, people can now see that it's not the way we play, and the medical team are just useless. Maybe 1 or 2 of the injuries, like Mickey van der Ven running, sprinting, and
his body, his physicality, as in the way he's made up, he's going to get injuries because he's a racing horse, if you like.
Yeah,
so.
But majority of the injuries is down to bad luck, and then when you don't have the backing from Levy to bring in depth, the injuries are just going to keep piling up. And I think the medical team needs a real looking at, because if players are going out of the way to go to their national teams to get support, then there must be a big problem.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right, mate, at all, does it? It doesn't sound right at all. We won't talk about the first in match. I'll do a preview maybe later on in the week about that, or us or somebody else will. But I would say that there's some good points from the match anyway. There were game changers. Sonny came on. He did really well. Obviously got the penalty as well. He looked sharp, made a difference. Bergvall, phenomenal. He's such a good player. Even when he loses the ball, he's straight in there. He reminds me he's got tenacity, hasn't he? Sometimes a little bit. Ooh, just calm it a little bit, but you don't want to take it out of them as well.
You want to see that from players, especially with the state we're in.
Yeah, and that must be such a pick me up for any. It was a pick me up for me, not just watching on the TV, but if you're in the stadium in particular, that must be a massive pick me up. Watching Bergvall really fighting for every ball and wanting to win, and every time he gets the ball, he's not scared to turn and go round players and go through them straight ahead. He's
so good at carrying the ball and just driving the team up the pitch. And Tasuma didn't do that once. Bentancur didn't do that once. So he was just brilliant when he came on. Yeah,
I'm not even sure what, are they... If they're just going to sit back there and be defensive midfielders, then fine. But you can't have 2 of them. It's crazy. And Sarr, obviously, that advanced position isn't his position anyway. He's not Yaya Toure. He hasn't got that range to do it. But who else? Maddison came on as well. He did pretty good, I thought. He got the nice through ball. He does drift in and out a little bit, though. I think he found it hard getting involved totally, but you can see his quality, and it only takes once or twice to do that. And I think that's what I was crying out for a little bit on the first half. We lacked a bit of ambition. There wasn't anybody right in front to take the ball from Romero in particular. And Romero was doing those long passes, as you suggested, as well, to the wingers. But again, there wasn't, when the ball was played behind Solanke into the place where you would have an on-rushing attacker, that midfielder, he wasn't there. So it was difficult. The bonus, I think, where we can end this podcast on anyway is, to be honest, mate, we've got to beat. We put that team out which played on Sunday against AZ, then we should be okay, surely.
Yeah, I mean, the positive of the second leg is we're only 1-0 down. We have got quality in our team. We should be beating them in the 90. We have got extra time if we need it. I don't think we should, but yeah, I think it's very recoverable.
Me too, mate. Me too. Right, that's all we've got time for, I think. We'll leave the pre-match stuff for somebody else. So thanks for listening today, Tottenham. I think we'll be okay on Thursday. Yeah, I was about to say something else about Thursday, but I won't. Until next time, it's goodbye from you, Super Ollie Kasabi.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me, Chris Mervyn. You've been listening to Daily Tottenham with ourselves. Come on, you Spurs. Let's do this.
Every club